Good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends. Thank you very much for joining us here in Luxembourg, coming to our headquarters, IACA International Anti-Corruption Academy. For some of you, for the first time, we don't really use this room very much, unfortunately. It was built as a ball room. We don't do balls here. We're here for work. And it is not equipped for work, really. It's for festivities, yes. This palace has been built during the Baroque time. The Habsburg family, they used to come out here to Luxembourg, to the parks, which they liked a lot in the summer, for summer vacation. And since the noble family wouldn't want to leave the emperors out of sight for a whole summer, they built villas and palaces around the Habsburg palace. This is one of them, built by the family Wittgenstein, Count Wittgenstein. And when IACA was established in 2010 was the opening ceremony established in 2011, we were offered this place as our headquarters. This is a very important event today, coming together to sign the Memorandum of Understanding with the Sport Integrity Global Alliance. Sport for us is a very important issue, not only as a physical activity, but as a very important part of life, an enabler which has been bringing people together, but at the same time, of course, as a platform of opportunities of all different kinds, cultural opportunities, bringing people together, business opportunities, of course, in the meantime, very strongly, with all the money flowing into this huge enterprise in many different sports, fastly and extremely quickly growing in numbers. That the forthcoming FIFA World Championship will pretty much double the number of games because they bring more teams on board. Also, of course, it's multiplying business opportunities and also opportunities to deviate money. So sports integrity, fighting corruption, enhancing compliance in the field of sport is a very important area that we have become increasingly involved. Our research department has taken up this issue. We have done quite a lot of research now in corruption in the sports integrity. We are right now developing an idea of an international sports integrity academy, which would train people all over the world in sports integrity in many different ways, in person, virtually, in different locations, trying to help them understand the value of anti-corruption in sports. Because, this is the first step always. A lot of people say, how can we fight corruption? Corruption is old as mankind, and people have been exposed to the abuse of power for personal gains, and there was not much people felt they could do against it. Until 17 years ago, entry into force of the United Nations Convention against Corruption, that for the first time gave us a legal platform to fight corruption globally on the basis of the rule of law, efficiently excluding impunity. So life has changed, and now we have to follow up. Because if you go to the street and ask people, can you fight corruption? Most people will tell you, not really. It's still entrenched, because they don't know that we have a new legal base. So this advocacy function, helping our constituents understand what is in their own interest, take advantage of the legal platform to stand up, fight corruption, which has been undermining all aspects of life, social life, the social contract, the belief in public institutions, our economies. We know that. I don't have to tell you this. This would be preaching to the converted. We know that. But people have to be made aware that it's worthwhile fighting corruption, not as an individual luxury, but as a social economic imperative. And this is what we have been doing. Offering technical assistance, capacity building to practitioners to understand better why we have to fight corruption and how we fight corruption. We've been training them to understand the complex provisions of the convention better and to learn implementing these provisions in their daily life. Lawyers, judges, prosecutors, justicial personnel, public procurement specialists, and increasingly now, hopefully in the future, managers in sport and everybody who has a role in sports, as functionaries, as active sportsmen. So when a few years ago, an old friend invited me to come on the board of the ICSS, the International Committee of Sport Security, I immediately said yes. Now, because I felt this was an opportunity, and in our striving of seeing where we can add value with our work, I saw this was a good opportunity. And of course, this is where I met many of the colleagues who are active in bringing transparency, compliance to the sport. And this is also the framework in which we have been developing some of our initiatives. So I'm very happy. I was very happy when my friend Giovanni informed me that he was elected chair of SIGA. This is a great pleasure because we've been working together in very, very intensely, increasingly intensely, I may say, starting with the G20 working group on corruption into the different levels, and now in Rome, in different functions. And I'm now very much looking forward to work with you and with the global CEO, Suderos, on how we can introduce stronger, a new resilient culture, an anti-corruption, transparency, compliance culture in the area of sport by providing technical assistance, capacity building on the ground, and strengthening the framework. So I have been longer than expected, but I always like to talk about fighting corruption. It has become, as you've seen, a big passion. I'm one of maybe the last still active negotiator of UNCAC, and I'm very pleased that I can continue in this work and strengthening the work here. Okay, in the speech that was prepared for me, they also listed our research topics in corruption. I just want to share this with you. Research report on typologies of corruption offenses in sport, overviews of best practices in integrity and compliance in sports, indicators for anti-corruption compliance programs, benchmarking, training programs and materials for compliance professionals, athletes, managers, and other relevant stakeholders. We also have been preparing tailor-made trainings in integrity and compliance in sport. Concluding, let me stress that we are very much looking forward to strengthen and to develop and strengthen the cooperation with various state and institutional partners, including sport organizations, to promote integrity and enhance effectiveness and efficiency of anti-corruption systems in sport. And today we got together to give it a real start. This is live streamed, so you are not alone in this room. We are alone, but many people are watching how we start our cooperation today by signing the Memorandum of Understanding, which is more specific than these MOUs often are, and it really provides a way forward in strengthening cooperation. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this big opportunity. We have this afternoon here in the temple of the capacity building anti-corruption all around the world, the International Anti-Corruption Academy. And I speak in my capacity of chair of the Sport Integrity Global Alliance. Sport is a source of inspiration and shared values, a factor of progress and human fulfillment that moves billions of people around the world. Sport is a fundamental driver for both economic growth and social inclusion, supporting the Sustainable Development Goals, constituting the core of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In addition, sport is a multi-billion-dollar industry with intricate ties to public and private interests. Let's say that it is not so a known element that sport has a value, economically speaking, larger than fishery and the agriculture. Probably we have to consider sport also as a multi-billion-dollar industry. The increasing relevance of corruption in both professional and amateur sport has inspired at the policy level several multilateral initiatives. such as, among others, the adoption of a political declaration by the first ever special session of the United Nations General Assembly against corruption on 2 June 2021, which refers to the importance of tackling corruption in sport and the adoption of 2 resolutions in the Conference of the State Parties of the United Nations Convention against Corruption. The first one, 7/8, corruption in sport, and the second, 8/4, safeguarding sport from corruption. The G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group, under the Italian presidency in 2021, adopted a set of high-level principles on the topic, followed by the accountability report in 2022 promoted by the Indonesian presidency. And also this year, the Anti-Corruption Working Group of G20 is working on integrity in sport. We all are aware of the need to tackle with growing international efforts the threat that corruption poses to the integrity of sport. But the legal diplomacy at multilateral level needs to work on 2 directories. The first one is the harmonization of rules, and you have seen that we have nurtured this one. The second one is the technical assistance at international level. So we have to move further, looking at the capacity building challenge. Following the insight of the first chair of the Sport Integrity Global Alliance, President Franco Frattini, we can affirm that anti-corruption, international technical assistance, and capacity building are both strategic for the legal framework development and the enforcement of bodies and authorities. Anti-corruption education supports prevention as it helps to nurture a culture of integrity and raise awareness in the wider society. That's why the convergence of IACA and SIGA is a very good news and the first clear step for a new era of enforcement in the fight against corruption in sport. I am very honored to be here and strongly convinced that today this represents only the beginning of a history of successes.
Mr. President of the International Anti-Corruption Academy, dear friend Thomas, dear Giovanni, Chairman of SIGA, Your Excellencies, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. While I was traveling from Lisbon to Vienna, thinking about the charms, the historic weight, the significance of this city, and of the institutions it hosts, I could not miss that IACA is based here. And IACA is more than a combination of 4 letters. IACA is a symbol. IACA stands for those who believe that the world should be free from corruption, from wrongdoings, from money laundering, and that global society and global economy should thrive based on merit rather than artificial factors. That victories, whether in life or in sports, should achieve based on meritocracy, rule of law, respect for human rights, rather than the opposite. We must therefore be cognizant of the challenging times that we face. These are challenging times that were aggravated by an unprecedented global pandemic, which has shaken up the very foundations upon which our society is based and operates. That has affected adversely the great dynamics that were taking place in the prevention and fight against corruption. We must not forget that corruption is big, that corruption is global, that corruption is increasingly complex and sophisticated, and it has a global dimension. And often, transnational organized crime. Equally, we must not neglect the fact that no country, no sector, no activity is immune. So if we want really to prevent and eradicate corruption and other similar types of crimes, such as money laundering, tax evasion, criminal infiltration, etc., we must understand the root of the problem. Because corruption, for me, is fueled by a permissive environment. A permissive environment characterized by poor governance, poor regulations, lack of oversight, lack of independent scrutiny, and a certain level-gazing attitude, which sometimes politically is very helpful, but in reality is not. That so far, so good. We cannot accept this. There cannot be any rest while corruption is advancing. And we must be mindful that corruption does not play by the rules of the game. Corruption knows no rules, no scruples. And this is why we need champions like yourselves. Because if you are here, it's because you care. Because if you are here, it's because you already made your choice. And your choice was not to be a bystander. It was to be a soldier. Because your choice was not neutrality, it was to pick sides. And I think we are all on the same side. We need champions in sport as in life, as in anti-corruption. And those champions find here in IACA one of their homes. For that, we are honored and deeply honored to be here today signing this cooperation agreement. I am not particularly a fan of cooperation agreements, but I understand that this is a way of publicly expressing our commitment to advance our efforts to formalize our positive dialogue and cooperation with an action-oriented attitude, placing the values that we hold dear right at the top, right at the podium. We must also not forget that on the pitch and off the pitch, battles are won before they are fought. And that's why we need to be very proactive. That is why we need to be very action-orientated, very reform-driven, and measure the success of our intentions by the results that we deliver. So I invite you all to judge the merits of the commitments that we are undertaking within a year from now by the results that we collectively build and the influence and the impact we will collectively seek to cause. Our commitment to fight anti-corruption, to eradicate corruption and other threats from sport, knows no conditions and no reservations. We do it with a sense of responsibility, but also the sense of difficulty that we have ahead. As the common roof, as the global alliance, independent, neutral, multi-stakeholder that gives strategic coherence, strategic guidance, strategic direction to over 200 organizations worldwide, we undertake our responsibilities. And we start by doing this with a great man, passed away last December, who meant so much to so many of us, Franco Frattini. It was the reason why I met this gentleman here, a true champion for rule of law, for democracy, for human rights, and for sport. That is a debt that I will never be able to pay. But we are here also to pledge our commitment to continue to move forward, seeking to promote and implement our universal standards on sport integrity, offering the silver bullet, which is independent scrutiny that our rating and verification system serves offers, and with thought leadership, investing also in training, education, and capacity building. With IACA, we will be stronger. With IACA, we can go beyond. With IACA, we can deliver. With IACA, we will deliver. So that this culture of integrity can also embody a sport free from corruption, free from money laundering, free from tax evasion, free from child trafficking, so that it can fulfill its invaluable, indeclinable role in today's society and in today's economy. And because there are sports organizations in this room, I want to thank them for giving a step forward, for leading by example, because that is what we need. Those who are capable of believing that they can do it are exactly the ones that will do it. Thank you all. We count on you. You know you can count on us. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we are proceeding to signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the International Anti-Corruption Academy and the Global Sport Integrity Global Alliance. On behalf of IACA, the MOU will be signed by the Dean and Executive Secretary, Mr. Thomas Stelzer, and on behalf of SIGA, the MOU will be signed by Chair of SIGA, Mr. Giovanni Tartaglia Pulcini, and by Global CEO of SIGA, Emmanuel Macedo de Amadeus.